Magic Johnson. Now, first, okay. There's two parts to the Magic Johnson discussion. Part one is anybody who wants to give me the blasphemy of Magic couldn't have whatever this and Magic said Kobe's the greatest Laker of all time. So it's like, that's because Magic, there are nuances to things that he doesn't get, he's not a great college NBA analyst, wasn't a great GM. His Twitter handle is awful, right? Okay, but one of the things he's always gotten is it's like LeBron calling himself the greatest of all time. You can't give yourself a nickname, can't call yourself the greatest of all time, can't call yourself the greatest Laker of all time. So the fact that he said it, and I guess this part of this maybe gets to the second part of the Magic discussion, which is Magic the analyst, Magic the spokesperson, Magic the guy who knows basketball but doesn't seem to know basketball. Right? Maybe Magic actually thinks Kobe's the greatest Laker of all time, but his powers of evaluation are so bad that it shouldn't matter. Either way, it doesn't matter. Magic's the greatest Laker ever. And I've had people go like, well, if Steph Curry wins, like, Steph's great. He's not really a point guard. And, Magic played 12 years in the NBA. 12. And I believe that's counting the year he came back. It's like 10 or 11 years. It was 11 years. So it's like 11 years of solid basketball. They made the finals 9 years. They won it 5. Right? He was the best player in college basketball. He was arguably the best player. He and Larry Bird were the best players in the world until Michael Jordan came around. So this idea, like I saw, was it Kendrick Perkins said earlier today, like if Steph wins an NBA championship, an NBA Finals MVP, like he goes above Magic on the, what is it, the Mount Rushmore? Like, okay. Okay, sure. Here's what you need to know about Magic Johnson. There was never a moment that he was on the Lakers that he wasn't the best player on the Lakers. Okay. Remember, Kareem was his teammate, and Kareem was still close to, early on in his career, still close to peak Kareem powers. But Magic Johnson was the best player. Okay. It's just like Larry Bird with the Celtics. There was never a time when Larry was not the best player on the Celtics, and he played with other Hall of Famers. You can't say that about Steph. Kevin Durant was better. Now, he's still a great player and a 2-time MVP, and, yeah, he changed the game. Like the way in which it's really what he changes, it's not just the volume of threes or the distance. Gilbert Arenas used to take volume threes, distance threes, whatever. Like Gilbert probably doesn't get the respect he deserves in terms of changing how he perceived the use of the three-point shot. But Steph's deal is what was previously viewed as a bad shot now is embraced because he hits it at such a higher percentage than we ever thought possible for those sorts of shots. So he's changed basketball. But so did Magic. So did Bird. Speaking of Magic, he said this in an interview with David Aldrich of The Athletic. He offered a suggestion how the Lakers might be able to fix the Russell Westbrook situation. That the Lakers need to bring in the right coach. You heard this one before? They got to get the right coach. It only can work if you've got the right coach. To me, it still comes down to who's the coach. He added about Westbrook. I said, talk to him. Whatever happened last year, how do you make it better with Russell? How can you make it more comfortable? They've got to figure these things out, take him out to dinner, sit him down. How can we do this thing better? Because if he's going to be there, it's got to be better. I guess whoever they name, the first thing they have to do is you sit down for once. You have to sit down for a week or two and try and figure that out. Like, there is no figuring out, Russell. Can you get more out of him? Yeah. Can you have a better relationship? I guess. I mean, look, we're making it out like Frank Vogel was an awful relationship guy, which he wasn't. He just wasn't in their world of superstardom, of Brentwood and the Palisades going over to each other's houses. Could that help? Yeah. Does that make Russell Westbrook able to shoot the basketball? No. Will it make him defend better? I guess. Russell Westbrook has done it one way for over a decade. And you think that he's going to suddenly adjust? That one's really, really hard. I don't know if the Lakers are keeping Westbrook. A good portion of me thinks they're talking about keeping Westbrook because they know there are just no good deals to be had for him out there. And they're willing to offer up, hey, do we stretch him and then buy him out? But if that's the plan, there's no problem in seeing how much better it can be early in the season, how much more bought in he can be. But it's like, how are we going to change Russell Westbrook? How are we going to change him? Russell Westbrook's shooting has gotten progressively worse over his NBA career. He used to be a very good free throw shooter, very good. He's never been a great finisher in terms of the actual numbers, despite the volume of shots he gets at the rim. But, I mean, look, he's a 29% or below three-point shooter for 4 of the past 5 years. For his career, he's at 30%. And last year, he shot below 30% and shot the fewest number of threes he's shot since his 4th year in the NBA. I don't understand. Like, how are we fixing a guy who this is who he is? He's a high-volume, low-efficiency shooter. He's a high-turnover guy. He can pass. He can defend. But none of it does he do at a high rate consistently. And, oh, yeah, by the way, he's had 4 knee surgeries. He'll be 34 years old next year. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. Yes, John Ramos.
They bring you in as a head coach, and you walk up to Russell Westbrook, and you say, and Westbrook says to you, honestly, just obviously hypothetical, he says to you, Coach, I want to help this team the best I can. What do I need to do, and what shouldn't I do, and what should I do to make this team better? What would you tell him? What does Westbrook need to do and stop doing that would actually make the Lakers the kind of team that you think that they can be if he follows the directions that you think he should?
Okay, that's a great question. 3 things I need you to do, Russell. Russell, I need you to give me more consistent effort at the defensive end. I need consistent defensive effort of, we'll discuss game plans and rotations and have a system and so where you're supposed to be, and you have to abide by that. We need more consistency at the defensive end. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when you don't have the ball, okay, I need you to be a cutter. I need you to learn how to cut and finish. That of all the stuff you're practicing cutting, catching, finishing. Cutting, catching, finishing. Cutting, catching, kicking out, you already know how to do. Cutting, catching, finishing. And then the last thing is, look, let's just, with the shooting, let's find a couple spots. Again, you can play off the catch without the basketball, that we feel confident that you can step in because no one's guarding you, and your shooting got worse. So just find a spot or 2 spots, one on each side, that you can shoot the basketball from. Otherwise, if you don't have the ball and somebody's going one-on-one or doing their thing, you got to be a cutter and finisher. And then I need consistent effort at the defensive end. Doesn't mean you have to try and steal the ball every time. You just need consistent effort at the defensive end. If you do those 3 things, you can be effective. You're not going to put up the numbers in terms of assists. You're not going to put up the numbers in terms of points. You're not going to put up the numbers in terms of rebounds. You just have to play. Play with only 2 stats being important. 1, how much did you have? 2, how much did they have? Jay Stu, you think it's clear that means they're keeping Russell Westbrook?
If you kind of add it up, I mean, each time the Lakers spokespeople, the people that they just kind of give information to throw it out there to get reaction from Lakers fans, it seems like it's heading in that direction. That each coach that was brought in to interview was asked how they're going to handle Russell Westbrook. I don't know why you would leak that information unless he's definitely coming back. And then Magic obviously has Jeannie's ear. I have a feeling that everything she thinks or says, Magic thinks or says, and this just seems obvious to me.
It does feel that way. But there's lots of reasons you would ask that question. What would you do? Because you got to go through all the possible personnel things and know how somebody feels. You know? So
what if one of the answers from one of the coaches is, if we're being frank here and this stays in this room, I think the team will be best without him next year. You think that's a deal breaker? Or do you think that the team appreciates that kind of information?
Well, I think a lot of it is I don't want somebody who is black and white with issues. Right? I don't want somebody I don't want him. Because would you prefer to move off of Russell Westbrook? Yes. But I don't want to do it necessarily to take on is the John Wall thing the best thing out there for us? God, I don't love that one. Right? John Wall got $45 million to not play last year. How am I smarter than anybody else for getting rid of my guy? A guy who plays for a guy who was paid to not play. So I don't want the all or nothing deal. I would like somebody to go, look, my preference would be I'm not a Westbrook guy. I'm just not. Could I become a Westbrook guy? Of course. But outside looking in, I just, if I'm Terry Stotts and we played against him and he was in Oklahoma City or he was in Washington, we didn't think he defended that well. His shot selection. He's not a cutter. He's playing with the ball in his hands. He's not a great finisher. All these things. So I don't like the either or thing. I'm just not an either or sort of guy because there's a lot. Did I want to trade Russell Westbrook? Yes. What if it includes trading your only first round pick in this decade and then taking on another bad contract? I don't want to get rid of him that bad.